I know many of you are here as a result of our initial agenda that had the mayor on the agenda. Unfortunately, I've been notified recently, very recently, that he will not be here.
Of course.
Now, I know we have members of several organizations here that particularly wanted to discuss, and we will discuss, and also to around the street encampment actions that the city has taken over the last couple of weeks. But before we get into that part of it, I'd like to invite Billy Bramhall. She indicates that she has a statement from your group, and I would like to recognize that at this time since the mayor's presence is not here.
Thank you very much. Is there a mic down here? Or can you all hear me?
No, we'll get one to you.
This was a brief statement that Denver Homeless Out Loud wrote for the mayor and for the Homeless Commission, which we have great respect for. It's very brief. We want to make the mayor's Homeless Commission aware of what has been going on about the suites. Several weeks ago, Therese Howard, Billy Bramhall, and Ray Lyell from Denver Homeless Out Loud met with someone from the mayor's office and showed him the 100 or so homeless people camping on the sidewalks all day in the vicinity of the Rescue Mission and Samaritan House. We suggested a survey of them to find out what they need to move to a safer location. We were told the mayor's office did not want to raise hopes, but they will get back to us. We pointed out that choosing to camp on the sidewalk all day is not helpful to them or to Denver. And to make that choice, they must be pretty desperate for help. Since then, we have been emailing the mayor's office regularly with suggestions and requests to meet. For example, having the various outreach workers interview all of them to find out what they need and help them to better solutions for themselves and for the city. Salt Lake City did this for their homeless people with great success, to the point that their mayor actually got to know and care about some of the cases. The Denver mayor's office informed us that they would meet on this, but they have not initiated a meeting. Instead, they initiated the suites and used the police, not outreach workers, criminalizing the homeless. Besides talking to us, they received pleas for a different approach from Tom Lures at St. Francis Center and John Parvinsky of the Colorado Coalition for the Homeless. Instead, these inhumane sweeps continue, which solve no problems. The city also did not consult with this commission, the mayor's own commission on homelessness, in initiating these sweeps. What has happened to Denver's approach of involving those affected in decision-making? In this case, including not just the homeless people, the ballpark, the Curtis Park neighborhood, whose working people have been impacted by this as they walk to work and errands. We again urge that you, now I'm talking to the mayor, and the commission, to the extent that you have any influence, take a humane approach to Denver's homeless population instead of treating them as criminals. We urge that the outreach workers interview these homeless families to determine how they became homeless, what would help solve those specific issues, and work with them to helpful solutions, or at least a better temporary situation. Move on is not a solution and helps no one. Everyone will not be cooperative, but many will. And as Salt Lake City found out, over time, this approach paid off. Thank you very much.
Just a follow-up. So do we have a sense of where folks have gone? Because we know we haven't put them into the lack of shelter space or appropriate shelter space, depending sense is when the camping ban was first implemented, that folks are dispersing and becoming, like, once again, kind of harder to find. Same issue, just not visible. Do we have a sense of where folks have gone? Are the outreach workers reporting back on that?
I don't have that data right in front of me, but clearly they've dispersed in different areas. And we have seen an increase in our shelter numbers as well. So some of them clearly have decided to access shelters as well. But as far as to be able to tell you exactly where that dispersal is, I can't tell you.
I'm really disappointed that the mayor's not here today. And I was hoping we would have a civil conversation about this in his presence. So that's disappointing to me. I guess a couple other things. One is, you know, if we had all this time to prepare for these, for the dispersal of people, it would have been a good topic for us to have as a commission, I think. Maybe to inform the situation, but certainly to make more aware, all of us, so that we weren't reading about it in the paper or just getting alerts that it was going to happen.
Comment.
You have no time for comment. Please sit down.
We have video footage proving that there was a dumpster there, a dump truck, where they're throwing stuff into it.
To answer Councilman Brooks' question about additional access and usage of shelters, we'd happily take more people at Dolores if we possibly could. We've been full to the gills since the day I started almost 9 years ago, winter, summer, spring, or fall. So we have 60 unaccompanied women and transgender folks in there every single night. We know we have a handful of new guests to us every week, but that's because other folks have fallen out or weren't able to get in sort of the random first come, first served phone calls of the day. So I imagine some may have been going out to the overflow shelter. I don't know about Samaritan House or Theodora, but we can't take any more. We know there's more to be taken, but we can't. We're full.
I'm deeply disturbed by a lot of the conversation this afternoon. First of all, I agree with Tom. This was in the offing for a long time. And why we didn't have more conversation as a commission about this, I don't know. But it disturbs me that somehow this group is not being asked for its advice and counsel. And that really distresses me. I was really disturbed and saddened to see on television last week the sweeps. And I kept saying to myself, so where are these folks supposed to go? And I very much appreciate all of the efforts of Denver's Road Home and the staff to reach out to folks. But in spite of all of these good efforts, there are still numbers of people who are being moved along. And I guess my question is, what efforts are we making as a commission, as a city, to figure out how to best serve those people? And I guess I'd like more of a response about where's all this going?
Yeah, I was going to respond also to Councilman Brooks' question about service providers and Volunteers of America, who operate two programs we call Safe Havens, specifically for single women with no length of stay. And at the time that the sweeps occurred, we didn't have openings in either of those programs. We may have been able, again, had we been able to maybe talk about this in advance, there may have been some work we could have done preliminarily to assist. But we didn't know until the Friday before that the sweeps were going to occur the following Monday. in our housing, affordable housing, which we have mostly for seniors, but all over the city, the wait list is so long, and many homeless people are on those wait lists. And just recently, HUD is allowing us to move to provide a preference to homeless individuals. But whether we do that or we don't do that, which we will do, the wait list is very, very long for the next available housing, affordable and subsidized housing unit.
So there's been some good stuff. One of the challenges, though, is now that people are scattered, it makes it more challenging for our outreach workers to connect with them. And although I think for the most part, folks who are out on the street see the outreach workers as advocates for them, they do feel like they have to dig deeper in. And so it's harder to find them, and that can lead sometimes to challenging or unhealthy situations for people. So I guess part of my point is let's at least give people places where they can feel like they can consistently be, and those might not be the places they were last a couple of weeks ago, but it really helps in terms of connecting with them.
Back to the topic of or it's all on the topic of the sweeps, but I felt like something needs to be clarified regarding the situation going on right now. I'm not sure if everybody quite understands that this was not a one-time sweep. The area by the triangle is not the only area affected. There's actually been ongoing sweeps around the entire city ever since March 8th. This isn't a one-time thing. This isn't a one-place thing. This isn't about the encampments, quote-unquote, by Samaritan House and the Rescue Mission. This is about the active enforcement of the camping ban across the entire city of Denver, which makes it illegal to cover yourself with anything other than your clothing. There's numerous folks, sitting here right now with me, and myself included, that have personal experience of this enforcement. Not around when you're blocking a sidewalk. We're not talking about obstructing passageways here. We're not talking about big structures. We're not talking about lots of shopping carts. We're talking about laying down and covering yourself with a blanket and a tarp. Cops are enforcing that law in mass across this entire city right now. People are being moved out to farther and farther in hidden locations. It is not safe. It is giving people massive sleep deprivation. This is something that I am sure everybody here is concerned about. I hope everybody here is concerned about this. Sleep deprivation is a serious problem. Being moved to hidden corners, out down by the river in some faraway place where you can't be with your crew or be safe, these things are detrimental to everybody's ability to live the life they need to live.
Amen.
So, can we please consider what it looks like for all of us, myself, all of us that are desperately working to try to solve the crises that are at hand, consider this a crisis. Consider the fact that when I can't lay down and cover myself with a blanket, that's a crisis. That's my home at that particular time. Now, we can talk about the quote-unquote encampments by Samaritan, and we in fact had meetings with numerous people about how we were going to create alternative ways of addressing some of the particular issues in those areas with large amounts of stuff. Sure, that's fine. We can talk about that. That's not what happened. Everybody got kicked out of there and the entire city. Okay? So please, let's not give this idea that this is one location and one time. This is ongoing. And please, let's have an understanding that while we can appreciate all of our work, everybody here does so much great work. It works so hard to provide options for people in need. That's not the answer. Shelters, as much as we love them, as much as some people love them, I'm glad they exist, they are not the answer. You cannot tell me to go into a shelter if I don't want to go into a shelter. That is like going into jail. Okay, that's not a solution. No matter how many beds there are, that's not a solution. So let's talk about home, like you talked about. Let's talk about safety. Let's talk about the issues that are on hand right now, and consider what it would be like if everyone here spoke up to the mayor and said, I'm sorry, mayor, this sweeps are not working. We need to reconsider. We need to let people rest. This is not working.
Yeah.
Okay, Woodliff-Stanley with the ACLU of Colorado. And I want to say we are aware of that these sweeps are ongoing. They are not one time. They are ongoing. They are virtually citywide. They are very aggressive. And there is a dispersal going on of people that, that I think is quite problematic. We understand these are complex issues. There's a lot that needs to be done. I'm actually very glad to hear that there's affordable housing on the way, that there's work in increasing shelter capacities and things like that. But it is clearly the case right now that the shelter capacity we have is not sufficient for everyone. We don't have the housing that is sufficient right now. And shelters are not always an adequate or proper solution. There's many different reasons why people either cannot or will not use shelters as their one resort. So for all of those reasons, it is clearly the case we don't have the capacity right now to house everyone who is unhoused in our city. And in that situation, if there is literally no place you can legally go, on public or private property anywhere, no legal place you can go, as much as I've heard the city say we're not criminalizing homelessness, you have criminalized homelessness. There is nowhere to go. And if all of the things that you need to do to survive are subject to arrest, you have criminalized homelessness. This is a very serious problem. The ACLU has concerns about the confiscation of property. The implication being that that if you don't have a home, you don't have the right to have more possessions than you can wear on your body or carry in your arms, and there really is no reason why that should be the case. We're very troubled by the notion when there clearly is not sufficient capacity. The labeling of people who are not in shelters as service resistant is an insulting term to them, and we don't like hearing this used. And I'm troubled by the notion that the bottom line is, and I heard this stated in this meeting, that the bottom line is removing encampments, when the bottom line ought to be people's lives. There are at least 11 people who have died of hypothermia already this year in the city. And I am glad to hear that there are discussions about solutions. I want to see those discussions go forward. We want to see creative discussions about actual solutions. But until that happens, until those have actually been achieved, why can the city not relent on these sweeps? Why can the city not recognize that there will be people outdoors? It is unavoidable, and that we try to accommodate that as the best we can while we work toward those long-term solutions, rather than, in this instance, violating people's core civil liberties and rights in a time when there are very few options for the people that are being brought along.
Hi, my name is PJ D'Amico. I'm the executive director of the Buck Foundation. I think what really upsets me the most is that it almost feels like I'm speaking to an empty chair, and that there's a unilateral nature of the city making decisions without the thoughtful input of the experts and the competent folks who ought to sort of be having this conversation with each other rather than to a vacant chair. And respectfully, Benny, that you're in a position that you're having to defend these decisions. I mean, I would implore this group to develop a working group that is not necessarily going to have to kind of adhere to process, but to imagine new ways of thinking about this with solutions that may or may not sort of meet the political kind of environment, but know that the urgency is now, that this kind of binary relationship between they're sweeping, they're not sweeping. Trust me, they are sweeping. I have been swept. They are sweeping. And so I think that I would encourage my colleagues here, who I have tremendous respect for, to sort of create a different way of having this commission meeting so that it is not speaking to an empty chair, but that we are really taking this on and being responsible to each other and the folks that are really the most disenfranchised. Thanks.
The solution is temporary. What we can do, what y'all can do, is to give us a piece of property to where public owned, to use, to where everybody can sleep. Because everybody knows down on the river, when it's cold up here, it's about 10 or 15 degrees colder down there. And I see a lot of my friends that go down there. I tell them like this: if you don't have a warrant, stay where you at. I'm gonna stay where I'm at until I find a place. I'm a veteran. I'm a Marine, so I don't worry about fighting. That's part of my nature. But the thing is, we need the sweep to stop. I mean, I get ample sleep. I suffer with PTSD, and a lot of times when they come and wake me up, telling me to move, I just went to sleep. Now I got to start this whole process all over again. It don't make sense. I have a voucher. I can't even use it. It ain't worth the paper it's written on. No one is accepting it. Because why? Because they can take the money from people and get twice that much than the voucher. That's ridiculous. You know, everybody talking about the sweep. Yes, we need them to stop. But the number one main thing is you need to be listening to the people that are out there on the street. They know what they need. They know exactly what they want. You know, we want houses. We want the sweep to stop. We want a place, a piece of property to where we can go and sleep in peace without being woken up 2 or 3 times a night. That's what we want. That's what we need. It's a temporary solution, yes, until you get the houses built. You say, what, 18 more months before enough houses is built? What about now? We need a place now. We need a safe place now to do what we need to do. You know, people go to work out there. They can't afford to go and rent a hotel room because that done went up. They can't afford to rent a house because a studio now is just like paying a mortgage. So I'm just saying we need a piece of property temporarily that is not being used by the city, that is not been developing to where we can go and be safe. It's just that simple. That's one solution. And then that way the police can look back to doing what they're supposed to do. Because you get tired, because I know one night they're going to wake me up and I might not be in the same frame of mind I'm in now. And guess what? Somebody is going to get hurt. Because, why? You're not enough sleep. The frame of mind they are in. This is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. The mayor not here. I ain't going to say that. But he's not here. But we are. This committee right here. Y'all should be talking to the mayor. The mayor ain't here. Why? Because he said he might interrupt the meeting. The meeting is already interrupted because, first of all, we're trying to give you our solution. And we just need you to hear these things and stop with the sweep, because something is going to happen bad out there. Either a policeman is going to have to shoot somebody out there, or one of the policemen or one of the workers is going to get hurt. This is deeper than what y'all think. I have a God-given right to survive. And no man, not the mayor, not the president, is going to take that away from me. So bring it on to 26, under the tree. That's where I will be tonight. If you really want to know how people sleep and what the police do, I invite each and every last one of y'all to come out there, grab a sleeping bag, and sleep down there. And you can actually see and feel exactly what we feel when the police come down there and say, move on. Or keep your bag, you know? This is ridiculous. This don't make sense. You know, I mean, I know God said it came from Jesus on there. We will always have homeless people with us. So if he came from his lips, he knew this. But yet, the city of Denver trying to act like they don't have homeless people or sleeping people down by the river. You know, police officer tell me, you can go down by the river to sleep. Oh, I can break the law down there, but I can't break it up here. That's stupid. But anyway, I thank y'all for indulging me, and I'm sorry about my outburst at the beginning. I just hope y'all understand where I'm coming from. This is coming from the heart.
Hi, I'm Mariana Thompson. I'd like to know, how can you turn around and say that this is not inhumane? So it's okay for a person, any human beings, regardless of how much money you have in your pocket right now. I was once, when I first came here 5 years ago, I was making $21 an hour working at the jail and turning around and living at Samaritan House, sleeping on the same streets that you swept, okay? This is inhumane for anyone to have to live on the street. I lost everything just to have a roof over my head because of the mere fact that I didn't have good credit. Now, what's up, people? When it comes to the Telluride law, when it comes to let's have solutions, let's have sure. Can people living on the street right now wait until 2016, 2017 when they're dying? 11 people died, okay? I don't know about you, but that affects me very much to know that my brothers and sisters died on the street from hypothermia when we're in the richest, one of the richest, most productive cities, named number 1 in the United States. Come on, people. Everybody needs to work together. We need to turn around and do this for all of us.
Hi, I truly believe that the mayor is a coward not coming here. You are part of the commission. He should hear your words and take into consideration how you guys all feel about this. Because there's a number of you, you're in to help people. Most of you, from what I've heard. You're here to help people. You care about people. Stop the sweeps. They are inhumane. It's like me, another human being. Other human beings just like you are saying, move along. You don't matter. You don't care. We don't want to see you or even think of you. Pretty much you're trash, and we'll trash your stuff. I do not want to live in a society that treats other human beings like that. I really don't. And if it's come down to that, I mean, are people heartless? We're all human beings. We're all in this together. And for you guys to not have even really known about the sweeps and got input, that is wrong. The mayor needed to be here and hear this from his community and from you on the commission. But it is wrong, and the urban camping ban is wrong. People are dying out there. They're freezing to death. People are dying. If that doesn't get you to make real change, I don't know what could.